Welcome to Learn English Practical 24/7 with Harvey.
Google has agreed to delete billions of records and submit to some restrictions on its power to track users, under the terms of a proposed legal settlement. The deal aims to resolve a class action lawsuit brought in the U.S. in 2020, which had accused the tech giant of invading people's privacy by collecting user data even when they were browsing in private mode. The suit had sought $5 billion in damages. Google is supporting the deal, though it disputes the claims. It has already made changes in response to the lawsuit. The data deletion will also apply outside of the United States. In January, shortly after the two sides announced plans to settle the case, the company updated its disclosures to make it clear that it still tracked user data even when users opted to search privately or using its incognito setting. That mode provides some increased privacy because it does not save the browsing activity to the machine being used. That same month, the firm said it was starting to trial a feature that would automatically block third-party cookies, which help track user activity, for all Google Chrome users. It had made that block automatic for incognito users shortly after the lawsuit was filed in 2020 and has agreed to ensure that limit is in place for 5 years, according to the terms of the settlement deal, filed on Monday in federal court in San Francisco. On Monday, Google also agreed to delete hundreds of billions of private browsing data records it had collected, the court filing said. "We are pleased to settle this lawsuit, which we always believed was meritless," Google spokesman Jorge Castaneda said in a statement, noting that the company would not be paying any damages. "We are happy to delete old technical data that was never associated with an individual and was never used for any form of personalization." Google is still facing lawsuits from individuals over privacy violations, which could lead to financial penalties. Lawyer David Boies of Boies Schiller Flexner LLP, who represented users in the fight, called the deal an historic step in requiring honesty and accountability from dominant technology companies. The lawsuit had claimed that despite its suggestions to the contrary, Google had tracked users' activity even when they set the Google Chrome browser to incognito mode and other browsers to private mode. The legal battle revealed documents in which Google employees described incognito as effectively a lie and a confusing mess, according to Monday's court filing. Last year, Judge Yvonne Rogers rejected Google's bid to have the case dismissed, saying she could not agree that users consented to allowing Google to collect information on their browsing activity. The deal will now go to the court for approval. The settlement comes as big tech firms are facing increased scrutiny of their practices in the US and beyond. In the US, Google and its parent company Alphabet are facing two separate monopoly cases brought by the federal government. It has also recently settled a number of other suits. It paid nearly $400 million £318 million in 2022 to settle claims brought by U.S. states that it tracked the location of users who had opted out of location services on the devices. In December 2023, it also agreed to a $700 million £557 million settlement to resolve a lawsuit brought by a group of U.S. states that had accused it of quashing competition to its Play Store on Android devices.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health and Lifestyle Report. The mental health chatbot, EarKick, greets users with a friendly-looking panda that could fit easily in a children's program. When users talk about anxiety, the panda gives the kind of comforting statements that a trained mental health professional, called a therapist, would say. Then it might suggest breathing exercises or give advice on how to deal with stress. EarKick is one of hundreds of free chatbots aimed at dealing with a mental health crisis among young people. But the co-founder of EarKick, Karen Andrea Stefan, says he and the other creators do not feel comfortable calling their chatbots a therapy tool. Whether these chatbots or apps provide a simple self-help tool or mental health treatment is important to the growing digital health industry. Since the apps do not claim to diagnose or treat medical conditions, they do not need approval from the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. The industry's position is now coming under more careful examination, with recent developments of chatbots powered by artificial intelligence, AI. The technology uses a large amount of data to copy human language. The upsides are clear. The chatbots are free. They are available 24 hours a day, and people can use them in private. Now for the downsides. There is limited data that the chatbots improve mental health, and they have not received FDA approval to treat conditions like depression. Vale Wright is a psychologist and technology director with the American Psychological Association. She said users of these chatbots have no way to know whether they're actually effective. Wright added that the chatbots are not the same as traditional mental health treatment. But, she said, they could help some people with less severe mental and emotional problems. EarKick's website states that the app does not provide any form of medical care, medical opinion, diagnosis, or treatment. Some health lawyers say such claims are not enough. Glenn Cohen of Harvard Law School said, "If you're really worried about people using your app for mental health services, you want a disclaimer that's more direct." He suggested, "This is just for fun." Still, chatbots are already playing a role due to an ongoing shortage of mental health professionals. Britain's National Health Service has begun offering a chatbot called WISA to help with stress, anxiety, and depression among young people. This includes those people waiting to see a therapist. Some health insurers, universities, and hospitals in the United States are offering similar programs. Dr. Angela Skrinsky is a family doctor in the American state of New Jersey. When she tells her patients how long it will take to see a therapist, she says they are usually very open to trying a chatbot. Her employer, Virtua Health, offers Wobot to some adult patients. Founded in 2017 by a Stanford-trained psychologist, Wobot does not use AI programs. The chatbot uses thousands of structured language models written by its staff and researchers. Wobot founder Allison Darcy says this rules-based model is safer for healthcare use. The company is testing generative AI models, but Darcy says there have been problems with the technology. She said, "We couldn't stop the large language models from telling someone how they should be thinking, instead of facilitating the person's process." Wobot's finding was included in a research paper on AI chatbots, published last year in Digital Medicine. The writers concluded that chatbots could help with depression in a short time, but there was no way to study their long-term effect on mental health. Ross Koppel of the University of Pennsylvania studies health information technology. He worries these chatbots could be used in place of treatment and medications. Koppel and others would like to see the FDA review and possibly regulate these chatbots. Dr. Doug Opel works at Seattle Children's Hospital. He said, "There's a whole host of questions we need to understand about this technology, so we can ultimately do what we're all here to do: improve kids' mental and physical health." And that's the Health and Lifestyle Report. I'm Anna Mateo.
Microsoft has said it is splitting the Teams business messaging and video app from its Office software globally. The firm separated the two products in Europe last year as it faced a possible fine from competition watchdogs. Teams was added to Office in 2017. The European Commission has been investigating the move after a complaint from rival Slack in 2020. A Microsoft spokesperson told the BBC that the move is to ensure clarity for our customers. It also addresses feedback from the European Commission by providing multinational companies more flexibility when they want to standardize their purchasing across geographies, they added. Microsoft said in a blog post that Teams standalone will cost $5.25, £4.20, for new customers. It is unclear whether the company's decision to split Teams from Office will be enough to avoid European Union (EU) antitrust charges. Over the past decade, Microsoft has racked up €2.2 billion, $2.40 bn, £1.9 billion, in EU antitrust fines for tying or bundling two or more products together. If found guilty of antitrust breaches, it risks a fine of as much as 10% of its global annual turnover. In 1998, the U.S. Justice Department sued Microsoft for using its dominance of the Windows platform to stifle competition from rival web browsers. The company has since loosened its control of what software computer manufacturers could install on their products, resulting in the surge in popularity of rival Internet browsers. After Teams was split from the Microsoft 365 and Office suites in Europe last October, the platform saw little change to the size of its user base, according to market intelligence firm Sensor Tower. Data cited by Reuters estimated that monthly active users of the Microsoft Teams mobile app remained flat in the first 3 months of 2024 compared to the previous quarter.
Just days after Chinese smartphone maker Xiaomi launched its first electric vehicle, EV, buyers have been told they may have to wait up to 6 months for their car to be delivered. Screen grabs on Chinese social media show the firm advising buyers it could take 27 weeks to deliver the SU7 Max. The company previously said pre-orders had hit 88,898 within 24 hours of it starting to take orders on Thursday. Xiaomi did not immediately respond to a BBC request for comment. The technology giant, which is the third largest seller of smartphones in the world with a market share of about 12%, is taking on EV rivals including Tesla and BYD in the world's biggest market for cars. The standard SU7 model is priced at 215,900 yuan, $29,872, £23,663, and the Max version costs 299,900 yuan. The starting price in China for Tesla's Model 3 is 245,900 yuan. The SU7, which has drawn comparisons with Porsche's Taycan and Panamera models, has a minimum range of 700 kilometers, 435 miles, beating the Tesla Model 3's 567 kilometers. As part of its campaign to promote the SU7, Xiaomi also released special versions of the car called the Founders Edition, that come with free gifts, such as fridges. On Sunday, the technology giant's chief executive Lei Jun said in a Weibo post that it would open a second round of sales for the Founders Edition. The firm is hoping that the SU7's shared operating system with its phones, laptops and other devices will appeal to existing customers. Xiaomi's EVs are made by a unit of state-owned car manufacturer Bike Group at a plant in Beijing that can produce as many as 200,000 vehicles a year. But the move comes as sales growth of EVs has slowed globally, triggering a price war. Tesla, which is headed by multi-billionaire Elon Musk, has cut the cost of its cars in China by thousands of dollars in recent months as local rivals like the world's top-selling EV maker BYD have slashed prices.
Well done. Get ready to unlock your English potential. Subscribe to Learn English Practical 24/7 for regular updates and dive into the world of practical English learning. Thank you very much.